Yo, 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 and welcome back to another episode of the Nyc and Griff Show.
The thing that's missing, but that will soon be developed, is a reliable e-cash.
It's the only secure database that's ever been invented. That's the technology. You fail to understand that it's a new technology that is as profound as the printing press or the electric light bulb.
This guy's going to want to cut. This guy wants to cut. Real estate agent's going to take 20% off the top. Get the fuck out of here. You guys can't dunk from the free throw line.
One Bitcoin is one Bitcoin.
I see you're in the new house. New background.
We are in the new house here. Yep. I would give you a tour here, but I'm kind of hooked up here. I don't have the best setup. I've got an extension cord running to the table over here, like in the air. So we're still getting some things set up. Got some good things going, but excited to be here.
Yeah. So, do you want to talk about buying a house? Like, what was that like? Or do you want to talk about the search for a house or housing prices?
Yeah, I think we got to talk about that a little bit.
All that stuff. Because obviously, just for context, if we want to do our market check first, or if we can find some realistic numbers.
Yeah, let's dive into the market check here real quick. What have you thought about some of the price and stuff here recently?
I don't really think much of it. I mean,
so we're looking at Bitcoin right now today.
It's really like it hasn't gone up very much. It goes sideways and then down a little bit.
Yeah.
I just keep buying. I just DCA, as you know, into the situation. So I don't really care.
So Bitcoin right now today is $19,850.14.
I just think there's a lot of external pressures on it, you know? I mean, there's a lot of things that are happening in Bitcoin that don't get reflected in the price, but there's also things in Bitcoin that kind of are like a really big factor in its price right now. But in the future, I doubt that like capital gains tax, for example, I doubt that that's going to be in Bitcoin's future. Just because I actually saw on Twitter a Lightning transaction was sent over a radio communication. So how are we going to tax? Are we going to tax radio communication?
It was sent over a radio connection.
Yes, it was sent like thousands of miles over a radio connection.
It sounds more analog.
Yeah, but like at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, but it's kind of cool because it's more integration. You know, it's cool.
How are you going to tax a radio? Like you can't do that. So at the end of the day, I feel like Bitcoin is trading at a price in a world that truly doesn't understand it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, who really cares? It's silly to even like contemplate the price right now because it's like, it just doesn't matter.
So Bitcoin, like I said, is sitting at $19,850.07. The S&P is down over the 1 month, or over the 1 week, over the 1 month, over the 3 months, over 6 months, year to date, 2 years. Oh no, not 2 years. So there's kind of where you see the run up from the COVID fall and all that stuff. So anyways, all the markets are down. It's kind of strange times. It feels like, you know. What do you think about that?
I mean, if you've been in Bitcoin, you kind of just been waiting for a lot of this to happen. So I have a lot of canned food. I have a lot of Bitcoin. So I'm kind of ready for whatever is about to come. You know what I'm saying? And this, like, it's a really interesting time in California, dude. I tell you, because it's getting pretty bad. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, if you drive around downtown, you're just like, okay, what's going on here? Businesses are starting to see less people. It's starting to get less crowded at a lot of places.
Is it really?
But if you've been in Bitcoin, you're like, you kind of understand. Where all of this is like truly coming from an inflation standpoint. But then on top of inflation, Russia is like, okay, did you see? I mean, like, I'm not a Putin fan at all, but he literally gave a 3-minute speech on basically how the United States has abused power over the monetary policy. And he realizes the world is switching back to commodity-based situation. So
I mean, this is like the same as a free speech argument, right? It's like you can't take away people's ability and right to talk about and think about a certain thing. You can't do that, right? Because that's just like innate to human being. Is you can think, that's like it's a very unique thing.
Yeah, and so in a long form answer, I feel like the market's like, if you've been in Bitcoin and you've kind of like paid attention to it at all, you kind of seen a lot of this coming. Like you've kind of seen a lot of the supply chain issues coming because you know what inflation can do. You've kind of seen how it's in Indonesia, I believe they're like rioting in the streets, or they were like raiding a Capitol building. I think people in America need to realize like it's kind of like maybe we're the last ones, but it's like a spiral effect. So it'll probably come to us at some point if things don't turn around. And I'm not so sure they have the ability to turn them around. I just saw that they were turning it from an inflation. What was it? Like this was they're trying to get rid of inflation to this is a growth recession or something like that. Like that's what they were calling it, growth recession now. That's what the Fed was calling it. So I don't know, like what what a growth recession means for young 25-year-olds that are just getting their first home or saving for one, or are living in California where it's hard to really do the latter. And I wonder what we're gonna do next. But
a growth recession is literally what inflation is. It's inflation. It's just inflation. Everything goes up, but it's a recession because your buying power actually just goes down. So it has this illusion of looking a certain way, but it's not, right?
Right.
So anyways, I was going to say, really you asked a question earlier about the house buying process and that stuff. So I've been like kind of out of Bitcoin. I haven't really been super present in Bitcoin for a couple of weeks, just with all the stuff that we've been doing with the house. And it's been pretty interesting. Got some good stuff going on in the commercial construction business. Got some good stuff going there. So I've been busy over there. And then we've been buying the house and getting moved in and stuff over the last week and a half, 2 weeks or whatever. And so, so it's been a pretty easy process. I mean, we found a lender, found a realtor, found a house, made an offer. They accepted, asked them to fix some things. After we did the inspection, we found some things we wanted them to fix. And I guess it was not common for them to say, yes, we'll just do the whole thing. But that's what they did. And so that's not common. We paid $180, and it was $5,000 over asking price, but it appraised for that. So that kind of worked nice. And then we've also had homes right around us sell for Kyle was telling me the other day that a house right around here sold for like $220,000 just like a month ago or something. So we're not like the most expensive house in the neighborhood, which is good, because then that will pull our value up as the area continues to get more investment in it, which is what's happening around here right now. So anyways, they fixed some things for us, and then we brought all of our money to the table, and that ended up being for us $5,800 that we had to bring to the table. And so, and then free and clear, keys are ours. We did have to take an earnest money check like a day after we made the offer, and we started talking with them, and they accepted our offer. So we had to run a $1,000 earnest money check to the title company. And then some time goes on, some stuff happens in the background. You have to like verify funding and stuff through the bank and all that stuff. They have to see your bank statements and stuff to verify that, which could very easily be done on the Bitcoin network, right? Could very easily be some new efficiency that they could find to implement into that. Hadn't really thought about it, but kind of an interesting idea. So then we wait for a couple weeks, and then we do the final inspection after they had made the repairs. Everything looked good. And then we closed the next day. And after we closed, we got the keys, and we were in the house. And it was completely empty, and it was ours. And it had a smell in here, too. It's kind of funny. I think they were smokers here before, and they were smoking in the house. So it had that, but it was mixed with something else. Well, we finally got this smell pretty much all the way gone, and we haven't even really done anything yet. We've just put like our own oil diffuser and stuff out, and we did have it professionally cleaned too, which was kind of nice. Our professional cleaner for the construction company, he came over here and we paid him to do that. So now we got all of our stuff moved in. You know, we got a couple more things that are still coming. Still getting the office set up, done. We do have an office bedroom in there, so that'll be cool. So yeah, man, it's been freaking super slick. It's been smooth. It's been a really easy process. And, it definitely takes Bitcoin mindset, Bitcoin paradigm to early on be disciplined with your money so that you have enough to do the things that you want to do. Right. And you're stewarding the money that you've got and that you're earning, so that you can better increase, right? And that's Bitcoin stuff, right? That's the mindset. That's the low, the low time preference, right? Versus the high time preference of fiat or of sin nature, right? You don't want that. That's high time preference. Thinking about today and not tomorrow doesn't lead to good long-term outcomes.
Well, thank you for the really great insight into owning your home. I mean, like, detail.
Dude, you got to do it, man. Dude, you got to do it. You got to do it.
You kind of mentioned, all right, okay, so you want to talk about owning a home right now. You want to talk about buying a home right now, basically. Well, buying a home right now, Nick, I feel like if you're living in Northern California is not really a smart investment at the moment. I feel like if you give it some time, you'll be doing pretty well. And you kind of feel differently about Tulsa, Oklahoma. So why do you feel differently about Tulsa?
Man, great question. Let me see here if I can pull up a couple of these pictures. Okay, here we go. So if you're watching, this is the deal. You should be watching. So here, this chart says the odds of regional home prices dropping over the coming year. You can see that the red is bad and closer to blue is good or low odds of dropping in price. And then that purple is somewhere in the middle, right? So yeah, California up there and all that stuff. Yeah, definitely looking red in that area. And but right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where we are, you can see is a big blue region in there. Very low odds. And I've seen other charts as well where it shows even I guess they've ran all kinds of data or something. I don't know, just probably averages or based on growth and history and stuff, I guess. I'm not sure. But they said that this area in Tulsa, Oklahoma is expected 3+% growth in the next year. So I was like, wow, that's really interesting. And there's also, you can just drive around the city and see how many buildings are being built. Dude, we are doing all kinds of construction here in Tulsa. And, of course, maybe my perspective is biased because I'm in the industry and it's like business, but it feels like there's a lot of business going on here in Tulsa and a lot of construction, a lot of infrastructure being built, all kinds of stuff like that. That's good for an investment. That's good for growth in the area. And I'm excited about that. Let me share you another chart here. I found that other one.
Yeah, I mean,
here's the other one. So
being in
expected shift between Q4 2022 and Q4 2023. 2023 home price forecast So that dark blue is 3% plus. And here we are right in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right here.
So you're going to trust the forecasters? The forecaster a Bitcoiner?
Well, I mean, who knows? So that's kind of the interesting thing.
I'm only saying the Bitcoiner part because I've just been following it now for about a little over 2 years, and they're always right. Like they're always ahead. Always. Yeah. Every Bitcoiner has been ahead for a while. Yeah. And housing prices dropping came from Bitcoin mindset first. If you believe if you keep following the Bitcoin housing theory, you would say that there's just a massive bubble. Like you would say that there's a bubble so big that you can't even fathom how big it is. But a lot of it, I feel like, is definitely regional, but at the same time, it's about like supply and demand. So if they can build the homes, then I think that'll definitely change the game. My thought for Bitcoin real estate was more so that in the future, you'll be able to live like anywhere in the world. Like, is the next Manhattan in America or is the next Manhattan somewhere else? And is that possible because of Bitcoin? Because there are so many communities with a lot of people that have, lesser economies than the United States because of the way the monetary policy is really set up and kind of the petrodollar and just kind of how hard it is to not be America. But in a Bitcoin standard or where Bitcoin is a global store of value, and it helps build infrastructure in new economies all over the world. Is the next Manhattan somewhere else? And is that somewhere else like literally a dirt patch right now? Like, I'm just asking, like, is it going to be somewhere else? And I think it's possible, I think it's possible that it's in El Salvador. I think it's possible that it's in somewhere in Africa, and you can go buy it right now. You probably go buy the whole thing right now and just build it yourself. But I kind of think it's possible now with Bitcoin, or at least that it's theoretically possible because you can transfer value and money instantly for free. So you can get things over there. It would just be about kind of building it. I don't know. That's my thought about real estate though. Is the next one like Tulsa, Oklahoma, good investment? Or do we need to start going other parts of the world, Nick? And buying some of that stuff up, because with Bitcoin, is it possible?
That's interesting thought.
Is it possible that is the next New York? Is it somewhere else?
Well, so you also got to think too of if the people in those places want you to come buy their land too, right? Because you can't just go and they have to because you got to think about like the cultures too, right? And how different people from different parts of the world experience life and stuff, it can be completely different,
Everybody likes a Walmart. Okay. Everybody likes Walmart. Everybody likes a big superstore, Nick, and a huge Amazon store to go with it. Everybody likes to be able to get a package within 2 days. Okay. That's a proven fact. If you bring 2 days shipping,
you said that at an Amazon truck drove in front of our house.
That's what I'm saying. You can get overnight shipping at this point. You're telling me that if you don't build that type of infrastructure all over the world in places that are there are parts of Africa that are so far behind. Imagine if you give all of those people an opportunity via just a good economy, because we know that's really how this thing gets going. You have to have a good economy first. You have to have infrastructure. You have to have people with money within the community that can build it into something great. And who knows what gets built? You know what I'm saying? Especially in a Bitcoin standard. What if that's the next big investment? And it could be somewhere else. I don't know how you get into real estate all over the world, and this is not financial advice, but that's just kind of my thesis over the next 20 years. Because we can talk about it on this podcast. The government is insane. What's been going on is nuts. What America is turning into, you can't really be as confident now as you were when you were a kid. There's no way that you're as confident as an American now going into the next 50 years as you were 5 years ago, or even a year ago, or honestly, even a week ago. That's how, it feels like every week keeps getting worse. And at the end of the day, if we're not on top, there will be other places to live. And Bitcoin gives us that. Bitcoin truly gives the world the opportunity to adopt all of America's value all over the world. There will be a lot of people with a lot of money here that have to go build other places if America turns into something that can't house, the greatest economy to ever exist. It'll have to spread out. And Bitcoin will be there to like catch that spread because it's free and it isn't owned by anybody. It couldn't be anything else.
Yeah,
they don't want to
thinking a little bit more on the strategy of Bitcoin and real estate. Ideally, I would think, in my opinion, I guess, that if you're a good Bitcoiner and you like believe in it and you're like really putting it into action, as you and I are, you're buying Bitcoin on a regular basis and you're storing it on a layer 1 wallet, right? That's like just buy Bitcoin, right? Buy it and hold it. I don't agree or necessarily think that is sustainable, all the staking that people do, but there's a lot of people that I know that are like Bitcoiners that like hold Bitcoin, and then they also have some type of casino coin that like they stake and then they earn passive income on it, and so they use that to like build a little bit bigger of a stack, on its own, but it's still kind of more speculative over there, right? But then on the real estate side, now this is our first home, and the strategy is going to be to live here for a year or 2 years, save up enough capital to then go buy a new home, move into that new home, and after the 1 year of the FHA loan that we did here, then we are going to rent this house and live in the second. And now renting the first house allows us to build a little bit of cash flow, right? And this is right now built upon the dollar, but this can so easily be flipped straight over to Bitcoin. Now we pay our rent directly in Bitcoin, peer-to-peer, right? Give me your wallet, we'll do it peer-to-peer, just like that. And you still have contracts and stuff, lease agreements, renters agreements, whatever it is. You get all that stuff, all that paperwork done, so it's all protected on the back end, right? As far as ownership and rights and what the agreement is and all that stuff. But you can so easily flip that over into Bitcoin, and now you're paying your mortgage, which is another Bitcoin topic, right? That is kind of why were these created and why do we have to borrow 40 or 30 years of time to buy a home right now? That seems like a lot. Is this really worth that much? 30 years of work and payment that's crazy, and the even crazier part is the 30-year fixed rate is starting to increase because interest rates are going up and it's kicking people out of the market. And so 30 years of time isn't even enough for a lot of people to get a home, So it is a weird dynamic in that, but if you're able to if you're able to get something that you manage that's manageable, then you can pay your mortgage. You can have a renter pay that mortgage plus cash flow for operating expenses and overhead and all those things. And now you're earning passive income, whether that's dollars right now or Bitcoin at some point in the future. Now you're building a source of cash flow, but from a physical hard property, like it's a real life property that real people got to live in, Now, if I would say right now, if values of homes go down in dollar terms, I think that they can only fall to a certain level that is utility value. There is just utility value of a home. Living in it, sleeping in it, staying warm, staying cool, eating food, cooking food, going to the bathroom, all that kind of stuff, right? There's a utility value of a home. So there is a base layer of value. And I think that the more of this stuff that you accumulate as well can also be a good way to partake in the growth of the internet's development on the money side with Bitcoin, and in the real physical world owning real estate and property here, right? Because you think about Bitcoin as property, right? It's digital property. It's digital scarce property. And here in the real world, real estate is that property, right? It's homes, it's land, it's all that stuff.
Yeah, so just so like everybody is clear, that's a hopeful future, because hopefully Bitcoin gets adopted and you're able to just use the Bitcoin network to communicate all the value Nick's talking about there. Mm-hmm. But obviously there are people with different ideas. So this is a tweet from the IMF about central bank digital currencies and where they're getting researched and developed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's a lot of pilot programs all over the world. There's a lot of tests with central bank digital currencies. Yeah. And it's a scary future, because these would be networks that, I don't know, like, it probably wouldn't be too hard for them to build the infrastructure for, because it's already pretty much digital money. It would just mean more, what would it mean? Just more surveillance on you, more control, more manipulation. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I think, I think that there is still some talk about what the actual design of the central bank digital currency is, because I've actually heard a couple since we initially had talked about this. So this is kind of an update, like a couple weeks later, a couple months later, whatever it was. I guess there's different designs of CBDCs. Not all of them are blockchain technology. Some of them are just like digital ledgers that they make, that they just control, and then everybody just operates on it. It's basically like you set up, you download a new app, and it interacts with the same infrastructure, but then it operates with their ledger, right? So there's also like some versions like that people have talked about. So yeah, but either way though, it's not good. Either way, they're not good.
All I'm saying is I find that anytime there's a central point of failure, it's not even like the central point of failure's fault, because they often don't even realize that they're making the mistakes that they're making, because they have too much power. Like, there's too much trust within a few people, and there's so many people. So I feel like with any of those central bank digital currencies, if there's one group that is looking over a ledger, and this goes for pretty much all cryptocurrencies, if there's a small group of people looking over the ledger and that has control over that ledger more so than you can obtain yourself, if you don't, like on Bitcoin, you can go obtain like control of a ledger. Go get a node. Go get a miner. Go get both. You're allowed. You can participate if you want to, but and it doesn't really cost that much. And that's kind of like the whole thing about central bank digital currencies. It's like, guys, we already got to where we're at right now. If we adopt a central bank digital currency, it's not going to make this problem go away. Like, what are they going to do? How are they going to do anything different other than surveil you more? Because they still need the amount of money that they've already created. Like, that still needs to be the same amount of money that they create again. They can't like just print less. I don't know how that would fix the problem, because then they have to continue to print. So yeah. I think it's best that we just don't trust government with our money anymore. I think it's best that maybe we talk about how to build or do something in the Bitcoin network. I know Nick has like a node idea that he wants to share today on our podcast. So Nick, do you have that ready?
Yeah, it's going to be called the Burns Bitcoin node here for now. Okay, I'm going to add this sucker up here. So, yeah, I was thinking about this. We talked about it on the show a couple weeks ago, and I was thinking about it a little bit more yesterday and a couple of days ago, and I thought it was a pretty interesting little thought here. So, the idea is bringing Bitcoin to your industry, bringing Bitcoin to an industry, right? You've got different styles of business that can very easily be done on Bitcoin. Well, this is a way to help people implement that, and maybe some software that they can subscribe to on a monthly basis to do all the analytics, the business analytics on the Bitcoin network using the Bitcoin network's infrastructure. So the idea would be you do a node setup, you do a single time purchase. It would be a single time transaction with somebody, and they would pay you to purchase the hardware, random different hardware costs, whatever those may be. I don't know if that's like 5 different things, if that's 100 different things, whatever it costs to buy the hardware and set up the hardware in somebody's home, connect it to their internet modem, get it all set up with the external hard drive and the operating system and all that stuff. And that comes, I would think, with a basic software, which I did not put in here, but it would come with a basic software that allows you to see your transactions. You can categorize them and just very simple features, right? And then connect it to the internet, which is existing. I've noted that here. So I think what I've seen to set up a Bitcoin node, it's like it could be like $500 in hardware cost to do that. It may be more. It may be right around. I think it's right around there. If not, maybe $1,000 for like a cool, super big setup. Times 50% for a little profit and time would put you at maybe $750 for the cost of just the hardware setup. But then another piece to this could be, now we need an ongoing service to offer our clients. Let's do a software subscription and let's help people implement Bitcoin into their business, right? So this would be some fully compatible QuickBooks style user interface where you can categorize different expenses into different categories for accounting. You can run debits and credits and stuff. I don't know all that audit. I don't know all the accounting stuff, right? But I've been talking with Kyle. You remember Kyle? And he's like, yeah, if it was fully integrated with all that stuff, it'd be really cool. It'd be really slick. And then you're operating peer to peer with a high quality software that allows you to do all the analytics, right? So I put down here, analytics to the 9. Build the software. Right here, we'd hire a software contractor, 1099, to build it for us, and analytics to the 9, right? Build the software, business analytics, Bitcoin analytics, so you could see the value of your Bitcoin in terms of sats, right? And we'd have to find a way to denominate it as like what's the Bitcoin symbol? Do you put the B with a line in it instead of like the dollars? You know what I'm saying? Like right now we use the dollar sign. Would you put the B with a line in it?
This would have to be a Lightning Bitcoin implementation, so it would be LNBTC, irregardless, because if it's a business, it would have to be a Lightning transaction because I don't think they're taxable. So it would have to be LNBTC, so they would just have to kind of include a way to, obviously be integrated with a layer 1 wallet. Which
Griff, you got to be careful about the Lightning node or the Lightning transaction taxable thing, because I think that they are still taxable. It's just that the idea on that was with dollars and Bitcoin, whenever they use the Bitcoin rails to send value somewhere else and then convert it over, that's where there's no tax. If you're sending dollars and somebody else is receiving dollars, they are not deeming that as a taxable event. Now, I think that may be that they may have like some type of value limit on that. Like maybe you can't do it with $100 million, but you could do it with $100. So I think that there's maybe a range in there. I don't know, but I think that's the deal, though. It's not that business transactions wouldn't be taxable.
I think the jury really is still out on how the Lightning Network will be taxed versus the Bitcoin network. Because I get what you're saying. Like when you're on strike, I get what you're saying. You're just converting. It's an exchange. You're just converting the money. So that's where they win. That's where it's not taxable. So somewhere within this business, your Lightning node would have to be just an exchange as well. Like you would have to just build so that it's not taxable. That's where the businesses could use it. I mean, like this is something Strike could do or would take advantage of, right? Like, is this something Strike could add as a service, you think? Like,
Yeah,
if they were like, hey, let's do point of sale or Cash App. I know Square, maybe Square is really thinking about this. Obviously, it is also convincing, or not convincing, telling owners what they could do with their business. Like, hey, why would you do this? Well, transactions are now instant and 0% pretty much. You know, you're not going to have to pay capital gains when you convert it. You can choose whether you want to keep it cash or Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to give them lots of options.
Yeah.
But I feel like the adoption would be pretty rapid, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
The other side of it is very cool. Like, all the business analytics, Bitcoin analytics, that's very cool. You can obviously make it more than it can make. Maybe it's
but think about this from the business side. So it's fun. This stuff would build on top of that point of sale system that Strike could implement, or whoever the next person would be to move the ball forward in some big, huge jump that where businesses can use a software, to accept payment and all that stuff, right? Transacting and that user interface is totally different from the accountant at your company that runs and manages all the money to make sure that everything's being categorized properly. These people are being paid on time. They're being paid the right amount. I'm thinking like more of like operating the business side of it, right? It's operating a business and running those types of analytics. And that would probably be the primary thing for most people, is that you would use the business analytics to run, what's your profit and loss? What are your percentages of growth or percentages of decrease? And what does that look like over time? And, it's like taking all of that raw data and building it out into really nice, slick looking user interface that had good graphs and charts and things like that kind of showed different metrics about your business, and you could compare this situation with this situation and try to identify similarities and, but being conscious of testing or keeping track of the strategies you're testing during those times and how they're working on clients, right? And prospective clients, and identifying ways to change so that we can be better and serve our clients better. So those are the analytics that you want to run on the business. On the money side, to see what you're making money by doing and altering to make that better and serve better into the market, right? Into the open marketplace. Being able to run that on here would be and running and being and maintaining that online software would be an ongoing subscription service that would also come with the hardware node setup, and we would help people implement that into their business, thereby bringing Bitcoin to industries.
I like your idea. I feel like that what you're trying to do is going to be pretty competitive, because I've thought about something like that as well. I feel like there's probably going to be a lot of people thinking about this very thing, but building the best user experience will probably be very important. As well as, like, I feel like at the end of the day, it's like you're trying to offer a business something that's too good to be true. And that's a very interesting thing to sell. So it's also going to be about how can you communicate this to business owners, and who can get it going the fastest, who can communicate with, a Tulsa, Oklahoma. If you can get all of Tulsa, Oklahoma on it and then show good numbers for it, then everybody will just adopt it. Everybody will just do it. Why not? Like, they'd be like, oh, okay, like, perfect. Let's do that. We're going to make more money. Why wouldn't we do that? I mean, we're gonna reduce the inflation burden on ourselves. Great, let's do that. Because I don't think people realize with Bitcoin, it's instant. So, like, whether you wanted to keep it cash or Bitcoin and do the whole thing, you'll be able to choose. Like, it'll be an option. It won't be like a mandate. There are no mandates in Bitcoin. You do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good stuff, man.
But it's a really interesting idea. The subscription service is really interesting, as opposed to, have you thought about maybe any other ways of collecting, like on your, because obviously this would be like it would be an app, it would be an exchange, right, of some sort. Is there other ways to collect other than a subscription service?
Well,
Like,
I think so. Here's kind of my thought on that, because I thought about that too. I think I like a subscription service because it's a way of the user to pay the person and team that the company that built the software and maintains the software, versus finding other ways to monetize people using that interface. It just kind of feels very just direct. It's, hey, I've built this. If you want to use it, pay me, and I will help you implement it into your business, and we'll maintain the software for you, make sure that everything is staying up to date. It's being updated all the time, all that kind of stuff. Making sure that things are working properly on the back end so that the interface is working properly. That just seems like a direct, hey, you're paying our company to do that. And we're not, because like the easiest thing you want to think about is like, if it's an online service, ads, right? Ad placement and shit like that. And it's like, I don't like that. People don't want that. I'm meeting one need in the market, and that is you need Bitcoin and implement it into your business to take advantage of the efficiencies. I'm going to help you do that, and you pay me to do that service for you.
Fair enough.
Free
I
market.
just think you'll also be running a Lightning node, obviously,
For
to
sure.
collect all the transaction fees. So it'd be
Yeah.
a subscription, and you'd be getting transaction fees.
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, you would definitely be a part of that.
Well, just naturally, right? Because you would be
yeah.
in charge of the node. Like, that's kind of the cool thing about building an application service interoperable with the Lightning Network. You have the opportunity to charge each transaction. You also, I think, will in the future have the opportunity to like put contracts and things that you're talking about on this same application service as well. Like, you'll be able to build that as well. They kind of announced that with like a new browser or something that's getting implemented potentially to the Bitcoin protocol, allowing for bytes of information to be put on a blockchain, like in a sidechain form from the Lightning Network. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so that you do smart contracts, you can do things like that, and it can go onto a blockchain situation. I don't know. Very interesting. But I really like your idea.
Yes, I don't know. It was kind of fun to think about the other day, thinking about yesterday and then last night and then this morning. I thought it was kind of a fun deal to look at. But dude, it's been great to be moving into the house, though. I mean, regardless of all the finance talk, because that is a really interesting side. But we also, we got our couch in, we got some new pillows and stuff. Janae's over there laying on the couch. She's been hanging out with Rosie over there, drinking some coffee. Got a little blanket on there. Got the TV up over here. We've got to watch a couple of movies and stuff. It's been fun. So. And the kitchen's great, and we're getting started cooking now. Again, now that we got everything put away in the kitchen, so nice to have our own space, man.
How do you feel about a 30-year mortgage?
I think it makes sense. I mean, right now we're playing the game, right? We're playing the fiat game. We're forced.
You think
to.
it makes sense, or are you playing the game? You kind of can't say both. You kind of can't say both of those things because
I absolutely
really make much sense, but you are playing the game correctly.
No, I agree with both sides. So I think that the reality is that we are in a situation where the dollar is the world reserve currency. It's what we use every single day for transactions, right? The fact of the matter, we're in that world right now. So we have to, if we want to do the best we can right now in this world, we've got to play the game so that we can have capital to change the world. You can't just do it with ideas necessarily. You got to have money to make things happen and move things around and get things built, and shit costs a lot, because of inflation, right? And that's not good. It's been created because money was manipulated. Money's been manipulated, and now it costs 30 years of time to buy a home, right? I mean, we're that far removed. I mean, that's crazy. But we've got to have money so that we can build the infrastructure to build that, right? So we have to play the game today in order to do that, right? If we could make, would you rather make $50,000 a year, or would you rather make $1 million a month? Well, I wouldn't mind making $1 million a month. I would rather do that than 50 grand a year or whatever, right? I want that. And so in order to do that, I've got to play the game today and not just bank on the future. I got to take action now to do what I can to prepare myself for that time in the future, right? And so then that's where kind of the house comes. Buy the house strategically for financial strategy and play right in the market, but also because we've got a home to live in, and that's a big key too, is the home that you get to live in, that you own.
Fair enough. Well, any closing thoughts besides the house?
Man, I feel like we haven't talked in it's been like 2 weeks or something, hasn't it? I mean, we talked a little bit yesterday, but it's been a little while. Felt like we hadn't talked in a while.
Potentially, and even after 2 weeks, one Bitcoin is still one Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really change. No kidding.
Well, man, that was a fun episode. Come check us out on Twitter at Nyc and Griff Show on Twitter. If you're not watching, watch us on Spotify and on YouTube at Nyc and Griff Show, or the Nyc and Griff Show. Check us out, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.